And here we are. We are live again with our final Kobo specific Ask Kobo Anything of June. We've been doing these every week to give you guys a little additional insight into the team here at Kobo, where I've just been bribing people to use their lunch break to answer my questions. So thanks for joining us for this Kobo Writing Life Q&A, which is all about Kobo Plus, which is Kobo's subscription model. So welcome, and let us know in the chat where you're coming from. And if you have any questions at all, drop them into the chat and I'll pick them up throughout and we'll address them as we go. So I am delighted to welcome back Joni, who has been on this a couple times now. So thanks for coming back, Joni.
Thank you.
And as a debut, really pleased to have my wonderful colleague Siobhan Paget here this afternoon. Welcome, Siobhan.
It's evening in Ireland, where we're both from, but thank you for having us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we wanted to just address, this is a very Celtic edition of Kobo Writing Life, as Siobhan and I are both from Ireland and Joni is from Scotland, but we all live in North America and our accents are a little mishmash of everything, I think, at this point. So in case you're wondering why we sound strange, that is why. So welcome. So can you both introduce yourselves and tell us what you do at Kobo? So Siobhan, you go first.
Hi, I'm the Senior Manager of Publisher Relations for US and Canada, and I live actually here in Vermont in the US. I deal with all the trade and, well, actually all publishers in the US and Canada and distributors, so it's a fun time I have. Very few of them, of course. I've worked at Kobo about 7 years, and I've been part of some huge, amazing launches, such as audiobooks and Kobo Plus in many territories. And I previously worked at Hachette and Random House, so I have loads of trade publishing experience. And one of my favorite things to do is read fantastic authors. And I got a chance to meet so many of them over the years. I've been lucky.
I thought you said your favorite thing to do is work, which I was like, man, you're keener.
No. Read a book on the beach, even though I can't sit on the beach, I get burned in 2 seconds, but that's another.
Nice. Yeah, you have a vast array of different knowledge in with publishing in general, and we're always coming to you with questions. So I'm really happy to have you here. And Joni, if anyone is not familiar with you, can you give yourself a little introduction?
Yeah, so I work on the business team with you on Kobo Writing Life as author engagement specialist. So I also co-host the podcast with a few different members of staff now. So I think I will probably be familiar to some people from that. So I do a lot of work directly with authors on Kobo Plus, on audio, library sales, and just general little bit of everything, as is the way at Kobo Writing Life.
Awesome. I'm very excited to chat about Kobo Plus because it's such a kind of new and exciting part of Kobo's business. So I'm excited to see all of the author questions coming through. Sorsha says hello. Hi. That's another Celtic name we have there. And Quintus, you have a question about the ellipsa. I would recommend emailing Kobo's customer care, as we unfortunately don't have a lot of the answers about the ellipsa, but you can find them at help.kobo.com, I believe, or help@kobo.com. We'll get them to you. So thanks for joining us. So we're going to talk about Kobo Plus, which is the subscription program. So Siobhan, could you kind of, just for anyone who isn't familiar, can you just basically tell us what Kobo Plus is?
Oh, well, Kobo Plus is our all-you-can-eat program, presently available in the Netherlands, Belgium, Canada, and Portugal. So it's a great program for customers to be able to get in and read as many titles as they want, and for publishers and authors to get access to new customers. It's an ideal place for discoverability and getting new customers.
Some people might think that that's sort of a random group of countries, but I think it goes to show Kobo's vast array of places where we are. As a global company, we're selling books in 190 odd countries, I think, on a daily basis. So why were those regions picked in particular?
Oh, the Netherlands is one of our strongest countries in Europe. We also have an amazing relationship with our partner Bol.com. So they are our main partner in the Netherlands, and they also are in Belgium. The Dutch are very loyal to Bol. So even when Amazon moved in there, they've still continued to stay with Bol.com. So Bol is our partner there, and they are working with us on Kobo Plus, and it's been fantastic. Then, of course, Belgium, as I said, is part of the Netherlands, is with Bol under there. Then Canada was next up. Canada, we wanted to try it in an English market territory where we knew we have a great audience and strong audience. And we knew people wanted it. People are going out there and doing Netflix, they're doing subscription programs. So we wanted to make this available. Portugal just launched this year in April. We are working with our partner there, Leia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Please let me know if I'm not. And they are the #2 publisher in Portugal, and they have a huge reach. And they really wanted to get into this program, and we partnered with them. And it's still early days, but it's a great opportunity for us in Portugal.
One of my favorite things about working at Kobo is kind of seeing the different innovations and especially how much attention we pay to each region. So I really like that it's we're able to launch Kobo Plus, but each one is very unique to that region. Whereas like, Portugal is with a publisher, Canada is our home market where we're just kind of going on our own, and then having the partnership with Bol in the Netherlands. It's a really kind of specific way to reach the audience in each of those places.
And in Portugal and the Netherlands and Belgium, we actually also do listen as well. So that's slightly different than we do in Canada. We only do read at the moment. So that, and audiobooks, we have tons of audiobooks in the program as well, which is a great opportunity.
Nice. Hattie has a question if which countries will be available next. Siobhan, are you, if mum's the word,
I'll wait and see, and we'll delight you. But I guarantee you there's numerous ones in the works, and you'll be happy with them. I guarantee you that.
Okay, excellent. So Joni, on the author side, independent authors can be a little bit hesitant to join subscription programs. So why should they opt into Kobo Plus?
So the first thing I would say is that it's really important to us that authors feel empowered to do what they want with their work. So if you don't want to be in Kobo Plus, there's no obligation to put your books in. You can take them out if you decide to try it out. I personally think it's a great idea to try it out. It's one of the big things for us is that we find that we're reaching a new set of readers with Kobo Plus. So we have our a la carte readers already. The people that subscribe to Kobo Plus often have never purchased a book a la carte. So we're tapping into a whole new audience, which is one of the cooler things, is that we want you to get your books to as many different people as we can. Another good reason is that it really taps into, Siobhan mentioned Netflix, like people that want to binge their books, like people that read box sets or read a lot or read an entire series in a weekend. That's another different audience that you might be tapping into that you might not be reaching a la carte. Siobhan and I talked about this a little bit earlier, and another advantage is that because it is relatively new, the catalog is growing quickly, but it's still smaller than the catalog on the a la carte store. So you have you've a better chance of being seen and being discovered by new readers.
Yeah, I love that, especially as we're looking to see that they are definitely new readers. It's been so interesting to watch it. And I guess for authors, probably the most important part to note is that there's no exclusivity with Kobo Plus. So we definitely want to empower people to try it out and not, you won't have to remove your books from anywhere else. You can publish on as many different platforms as possible.
And I think also the territories that we're in and will be in, authors will love that. That's the whole thing about Kobo. We have that global reach, and that's important.
Yeah, and we really we also allow authors to select the territories. So perhaps you have a Dutch language book or Portuguese, or you just want to try your English books out there. You can definitely just select which one you want. We would recommend you choosing all of the territories and the future ones. But again, kind of rolled this out to authors with the intention of giving them as much power over their books as possible. So we have some more people coming in to say hi. So hi, Sarah. Hello, Rich is coming from NYC. Amorpheus likes that I get right to the point with my questions, so thank you. I'm like right in here with the hard-hitting stuff, so that is interesting. Okay, so with Kobo Plus, so Sorsha has a question here, which was also on my questions for you ladies. What genres are the strongest in Kobo Plus that you're seeing so far?
Well, of course, it goes to romance. And, you know, one thing about KWL is you have plenty of that. But when I looked into romance, I noticed that it broke down into contemporary erotica, kind of in this order: contemporary erotica, historical, and then suspense for romance. I was surprised erotica was probably as high up, but I shouldn't be surprised. Then, of course,
we're Team Torso. I don't know if you missed that from our last live stream. True. Yeah,
I did forget that. And then comes after that is thrillers and general fiction. So your mystery and your thrillers are still up there, and then general literary fiction. So
nice.
Sort of like the Kobo readership right now, to be honest, it's similar.
And I don't know if you had a chance to look at this. Were you able to see if there was any main differences in reading trends between the different geos, or was it sort of similar throughout?
It's pretty much similar. I think, you know, a little bit more romance in Canada, with literary fiction jumping a bit more in the Netherlands, but not that much in the difference.
Yeah. Joni, in your kind of research with the books in Kobo Plus, have you noticed that it is like majority serialized content that people are reading?
I think so. Not all, but like we have seen a few standalone books that maybe authors didn't expect people to be consuming in Kobo Plus that are doing really well, but I'm seeing a lot of box sets.
Yeah.
So again, we're targeting those binge readers. They like box sets and they don't want to exit out of the book and find the next one. They just want to read straight through. So
yeah, and I found that really interesting. I was really surprised to see that. I remember Tara and I looking at that and going, wait, but they can grab the next one immediately anyway. Why are they just doing the box set immediately?
It is interesting when all of the books are there, but I think people like it as convenience. They just want one file that has all of the books, even if they are subscribing to Kobo Plus. Yeah. And the great thing about how it works for authors is that we go by minutes read. So you're getting sort of the same bang for your buck, whether it's the box set or individual books. So I think that's sort of interesting. So Joni, as I just touched on the minutes read, could you explain how this sort of works, why we choose minutes? That might seem like kind of an odd concept that we went for, but can you just explain the process?
Sure. Siobhan, feel free to jump in if I mess this up, because it's always hard to explain.
You know it.
So one of the reasons for going with minutes is because we know that with page reads, it's easier to manipulate the system. With minutes, there's no way and you can't really fake engagement with a book. Like you can flick through it, but that's not accumulating minutes, right? So this was essentially our way of finding a way to engage or a way to reward authors for readers engaging with the text. So we pay by minute. If you reread a book, we pay for that. If you only read the first 3 pages, like that will add to your accumulation. So we're paying for every single minute that a reader spends engaging with your books. In terms of how that works, so we have a system where people readers pay a subscription fee, and then that makes up 1 month's worth of revenue. When it comes to what we pay, the number of minutes read in a month is aggregated, and then we divide the amount of revenue by the minutes read, and that is how we pay out. So we pay out per minute. It's going to be a slightly different amount every month, depending on how many people are subscribed and how many people are taking part in the program, essentially.
But I think you hit on something right there. People rereading.
Yeah.
Going back and rereading a chapter, going back and rereading a page, or with a kid's book. Like I have 2 kids. Well, one of them is a teen, so I won't call him a kid anymore.
So you still have a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're maybe past the age of making her reread books.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But they reread the same books because they're comfortable with it, and you're going to get paid per minute. It's kind of great.
Yeah.
And I think during the pandemic, people definitely read the same old book.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's going to continue.
Yeah, it definitely, especially during the pandemic, the idea of like comfort reading was something that I really gravitated toward, you just want something that's gonna, make you feel a certain way. And you want that guaranteed. So yeah, definitely the rereading. I think that's really interesting. And then Minutes also allows us to treat audiobooks and ebooks the same. Which I kind of think is an interesting way to look at things, that we can kind of just aggregate them as the same in terms of value. And yeah, when you think about it, a page doesn't exist in an EPUB. There's sort of there's no such thing as a page because your text can increase and decrease and it changes size. So we find that, the minutes read is definitely, as you're saying, Joni, very much more difficult to manipulate. And one thing we do as well is that, so if a reader is reading offline, we sync it after the fact. So you're not losing any of that. So it's all like going through. So I think that's really great. Laura, can you drop in a link to our help article that explains it? Because sometimes it's kind of difficult to just hear people say words like, and times this divided by such and such. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So Brandy says, hi, it's Brandy from Venice, Florida. Lovely. How do you advertise on Kobo Plus to be a featured artist? And also, what are the subscription costs? Is it monthly or annually? So first, let's go for the cost. What's the monthly cost for Canada, Siobhan? Do you know?
Is it $9.99?
$9.99. So that's for a customer. So it's $9.99 a month, and they can read as much or as little as they like.
Exactly.
And then advertising on Kobo Plus, we don't have anything specific at the moment, but we are building our kind of promotions as we always add additional things. So, Joni does their promotions with Overdrive and with audio. So if you're interested in Kobo Plus, you can definitely shoot us an email. We do have a page that we curate, and it's something that we're looking to grow even further as we kind of keep extending this.
One thing I will say when we're working with the merch team to give them titles to feature, we kind of want to be confident that it's authors who are going to stay in the program for a little while. So if you are enjoying Kobo Plus and you're happy to have your books there, like do feel free to reach out and let us know, and we can definitely share those titles with merchandising.
That's a great point, for sure, that we definitely will share those. I'm seeing some questions here. Apologies, I'm reading and talking at the same time, which is always
you're doing great.
Idea.
I don't know how you're doing it. I'll be honest.
So we have a question from Morpheus. Can you team up with other authors in your genre, say crime fiction, and offer a series of books? That's a great question. Joni, can you, or Siobhan, do you want to chat about? Yeah. What I will say is when we do see authors bundling stories together for like a box set, sometimes authors create a new Kobo Writing Life account just for the financial aspect. So it'll just report in one place, and then maybe multiple authors can have access to this one account, rather than it living in just one author's account with the rest of their books. So if you ever do that, make sure you email us and let us know, because we can then make sure that you have access to all of our wonderful tools that are available. So, and then Payne Harrison is asking, does Kobo offer writers to advertise on Kobo? Joni, do you want to just touch on briefly the promo tab that we have available?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is more for a la carte offerings, but we have a promotions tab that's built into the Kobo Writing Life dashboard. It's not automatic. You need to email us to ask us to activate it, but you can do that, writinglife@kobo.com. And we have promo opportunities that are updated weekly. We have a lot of different types. We have free promos. We have a free page, which gets a lot of eyeballs on it. So that's a great place to put your first in a series or to make something free for a week. We do a lot of percentage off, buy more, save more. So there's a few different options. We also make sure that we always include options where the discount is with a promo code rather than a price drop, so that you can work around any kind of price matching with other retailers.
Absolutely. So Neil Turner has a question. Are all authors compensated at the same rate? A common complaint with KDP is that they're cutting deals with name authors that are more lucrative than what other authors receive. So I think he's referring to like the all-star bonuses and things like that.
No, it's all one situation with Kobo Writing Life. Everyone gets the same amount per minute per month.
Yeah. one of the great things that I like about it, Neil, is that the more readers there are, the more the value is increasing of the book. Yes, we don't have kind of additional bonuses or anything like that to lure people in. Again, we kind of not lure is the wrong word. We want to make sure that you have complete control about when you join and when you leave. So no, we don't have that. So Siobhan, question for you, because I've been just peppering Joni with questions there for a while. So we're coming up on a year of performance in Canada. So how has Kobo Plus been in our biggest territory? I know authors did have some concern about, like, would it cannibalize a la carte sales? So can you speak to what we're seeing so far?
Do you know, that was very interesting. I pulled something with my colleague yesterday, and we were looking at some French titles in Quebec, and we saw those titles that were in a la carte, and now at the same time they're in the same group of titles are now in Kobo Plus. They have grown in both a la carte and Kobo Plus. Like, of course, like they've grown in a la carte during this period. So that means the discoverability and has increased people's awareness, and people are talking about these titles. And so I was like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting totally that. Like, if new release, that's one thing, but some of these backlist titles to actually spike again. So I was really happy about that. In general, we're doing amazing. As Joni already mentioned, it's been it is 1 year in, and it is a different audience that we're finding. You do see about 10% crossover. But so they may be in Kobo Plus and a la carte, and they'll go back in and get them in a la carte every so often. But they're happy with it, and the publishers and authors, from what I've worked with Joni as well, we've seen everybody increase. Some people may think it's cannibalized, but I have not seen that. It may be something happening yourself with your own marketing or your own things happening. And again, I think if there's specific questions around that, come to myself or Joni, and we can look at your account and see what else we can do. Maybe it's just people got so far in your book and they were like, no, I didn't love it that much. And they went something else. So that could be a reason too.
Yeah, I'd back up that, because a year ago when we launched, we were talking about this, and this was a big question, and we didn't know because we hadn't been in Canada before. And this was what we'd seen in the Netherlands, was that sales overall increased, but that it didn't cannibalize. And I remember a year ago saying, well, we think it'll be the same, but we don't know. And now a year on, like, I've looked at quite a few different authors' Kobo Plus results, and it is pretty consistent that, like, it varies in terms of how much, but what I'm seeing overall is an increase in both a la carte and Kobo Plus.
Yeah, and you've been doing some really interesting analysis, Joni, because I know we have authors more and more that come to us saying, I'm just going wide for the first time, meaning that they're leaving exclusivity and stuff. And really looking at the kind of stats that you go through, using Kobo Plus as a way to really kind of cement yourself on Kobo as a newly wide author seems to be like a really clever tactic.
Well, I think it's important, if you are coming from KU, you have readers who are subscription readers. And honestly, readers are not loyal to Amazon. They don't care. Like, they just want to be able to get what they're getting. And so if you have readers that are sort of trained to binge read and they want that subscription experience and you want to go wide, it's a great way to say, hey, I'm not leaving you. I'm not taking my books out of subs, but here's a different program you can try.
Yeah, for sure. And Siobhan, you mentioned backlist there, and I know that BookNet Canada has done some really interesting analysis, especially on the last year. I know that it was sort of a unusual year for book selling, in like that it was really good. People were reading more books as they were stuck at home, but they saw a huge increase in backlists, like more so than usual. So do you think that that'll be something that we keep seeing as a trend, Siobhan, especially as the Kobo Plus model allows such easy access?
I mean, in general, this is, ideal place for every type of book, but it gives us people a way to easily find backlist again and try out books they wanted. They didn't. 5 years ago, X title came out and I didn't get to read it, but now here it is in this program. And oh, great, I'm going to try it. I'm honestly, I would like it. I'm not spending $15 on it now. I'm on a Kobo Plus and I'm reading it and I'm much happier. I think during the pandemic, people were reading stuff they'd always wanted to read. They had a little bit more different type of time on their hands. I won't say more time on their hands, but a different type of time. And this was reading as an escapism for all of us, or sometimes, of course, it's learning for others, but escapism for me anyway. And I feel like that's people had these books on their list they wanted to try. And a lot of those books will be in Kobo Plus or a subscription program, and people want to do that. I mean, but the backlist with BookNet is also probably Bridgerton. We'll think about it, of course.
I was thinking about that because historical fiction has really boomed, like, and it's all down to Julia Quinn.
Great job.
Well, maybe it's Netflix, actually.
Yeah, probably. Actually, you're right. And that's a great point. Look at all those books that are being turned into movies. They probably came out 4 or 5 years ago, and now they're backlist. So, of course, that's going to explode things as well. So there's so many different, when you hear people talk about backlists, there are so many reasons for that. And the pandemic, of course, TV, and subscription programs growing. That's going to, so, it's just like us. We've been talking about watching things on Netflix or on, what did I just start? I started that one on HBO. What was it?
Mayor of Easttown?
Oh, I did. Oh my God, guys, I love it.
It was so good.
You have a Siobhan in it. So I even, and she has the same haircut I had.
Nice, thanks. One thing I wanted to mention as well, just for the customer side for Kobo Plus, is that it's really easy. It's in the apps that we have on iOS and Android. It's all in one app. So if you're in a region that has Kobo Plus, you can read your ebook, listen to your audiobook, and access your Kobo Plus books all in one app. So there's no fussing around, and it's also within our devices in those areas as well. So I think that's really been helpful to kind of boost the readership and the kind of the number of subscribers for sure. I had a question and it has just gone out of my head. Oh, sorry. Sorsha is asking any updates on the Kobo Plus dashboard that is in the works. Joni?
It's still in the works. That we don't have a date, but it is still in the works. It is still something that we're prioritizing because we know that this is important to the authors.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, it's coming, Sorsha. Soon. But in the meantime, you can see your Kobo Plus sales figures if you hover to My Account within your account and go to Payment Information, you'll be able to download all of your sales reports there. So you can see your Kobo invoices and then a separate Kobo Plus invoice that will be there giving you all the details. So if you have any trouble finding it, you can email the team at writinglife@kobo.com.
I'm very jealous of your dashboard.
Oh yeah, the trad publishers don't have a dashboard.
No, so authors be delighted that you have that. Really
my God. Sorry, really need a haircut.
Living in Ontario, no haircuts.
I know we're the hairdressers are opening up next week for the first time since last year, I think. So
November, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we're all waiting. We did have a question from Hattie as well about marketing in Kobo Plus towards the Kobo Plus countries. And it kind of just occurred to me as she said it that it's something to keep in mind in your targeting and marketing in specific countries to let people know that Kobo Plus is there. What are your thoughts about that, guys?
Well, firstly, I would say the geo-targeting is important. So noting that you're not just targeting Kobo readers in the Netherlands, but also targeting those bol.com users who may also be Kobo Plus users.
That's a great point.
The other thing that we want to provide, be able to provide authors with creative that maybe you can share on your social media with Kobo Plus on it. So that's something that I'm working on right now, so that you can tell readers directly, hey, my books are in this program, like go check it out if you're in Canada or Portugal or wherever. But other than that, it's really just, we know that KWL authors have a great relationship with their readers and that you all already talked to them about where to get your books.
Yeah, for sure. It's good to just have that additional ad that they can be available there. And on the Kobo store, we're really kind of making it very obvious which books are in Kobo Plus and which aren't. So yeah, if you browse the store, you'll definitely see. And I've shared this tip before, but I'd like to share it again. If you're in a region that doesn't have Kobo Plus and you would like to see what it looks like, if you're on Kobo.com, there is a little flag at the top that indicates where you are based. And if you click on this flag, you can see all of the other country flags where we have a dedicated storefront. So this lets you browse. I always recommend indie authors do this if they're not too sure about pricing in their genre in different countries. So you can browse the Canadian store and see the difference there in the US store, etc. So that's something to keep in mind. So Payne Harrison is asking, is Kobo linked in any way to the Walmart Books website? So Siobhan, do you want to speak on this?
So as of January, the end of January this year, we have a banner that leads over to our main site. It's a much better experience because there wasn't clear linking between print and and audio. So this was a more efficient way for us all to do it. And we've seen the consumers are really still coming. Kobo Plus is not available in the US, but Kobo itself is, and just click on the banner when you're on any title page at Walmart.
Yeah, and it really gave us better control over a lot of the merchandising that we can do.
Totally. We still do stuff with Walmart. We have special giveaways. We have special offers for them on their site and to their customers. So we still work with Walmart very, very closely. We have a meeting later today on that with the team there. But we're always trying to come up with opportunities that are special for the Walmart customer.
Nice. Yeah, that's really important, I think, because Kobo's partnerships are so key to kind of remaining successful in this digital reading landscape. So let me know if there's any more questions being dropped in. Rashid said he has requested the audio tab on his dashboard. So yes, our team will add that for you once they get to it. Now.
And I would say opt-in audio to Kobo Plus as well.
We don't yet have that available.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Right.
Yeah, no, it's okay. That's something that's worth bringing up, actually, is that because Kobo Plus audio is Belgium, the Netherlands, and Portugal, but not Canada. So KWL authors will have it soon. It's sort of in the future working, but they can't right now, unfortunately.
Well, when it's available, do it.
Yes.
We're seeing nice results in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a question about when subscriptions will be available in the US, but Siobhan, you already answered that. I would say keep an eye on Kobo Social and Kobo Writing Life Social, because any updates that we have, they will be there. And speaking of social, actually, if you're interested in like different Kobo Plus features and maybe as a reader, books that you're interested in, the Kobo blog has some really good listicles about, like, they pull out specific titles that are available. So it's kobo.com/blog, I believe, that has a lot of different information there. So I want to ask you guys, maybe, Joni, what would your one tip be for somebody that is wanting to be successful with a Kobo Plus?
I mean, honestly, opt in. Like, this is kind of the cool thing. Like, you don't set a price for Kobo Plus. You don't you don't have to do any Kobo Plus specific marketing. So it's a bit of a no-brainer to me. Opt it in, leave it, don't touch it for 3 months. Please let our readers find it and then see how it goes.
Why 3 months? Do you think that that's just around like...
I think that it needs a little bit of time for people to see it. People add things to their library. They don't necessarily read them right away. So that's another point, actually, that if your books are in Kobo Plus and somebody adds them to their library and they don't get around to reading them for a few months, like, you will get paid for that later. So, I mean, 3 months is a number I just pulled out of nowhere, but I do think you need a bit of time.
For 3 months, to be honest, because there is a huge range of books in there, and give people time to discover. I would say use your social to really allow people to find you. And tell them about the opportunity where they can buy you at Kobo and Kobo Plus in all the different places. I think that's important. Kobo Plus is still growing in these territories, so the more you can do to help us, even better. And that means more money for you and more readership for you. So I think that's important. Also, I think just, yeah, I think Joni's totally correct. Get it in there and tell people what is it? It's not going to harm anything.
Yeah, you have
by
nothing
having
to
it
lose
in
on
there.
it.
Exactly. So I've discovered books I never heard of in the program. So I was delighted. I was like, oh my God, I remember hearing about this years ago. And here I am trying to read it. Or even for me, looking at the list that's in there and going, why is everybody reading that book? And so I pick it up just to read it because, well, everybody's reading it. Why? And it's not always the obvious books. You'd be surprised.
And if you have had your books in for a little while and you're not totally sure how they're performing, like, you can email us. We're always happy to go through and pull some numbers for you and give you a bit of an overview of how your books are doing in the program. So that's another thing. Like, if you've had them in for a while and you're not really sure about it, like, let us know. Again, leave them for enough time for readers to find them. Give it a bit of a chance. Don't pull them in and out. That is my one, like, please don't do that. It's horrible for the algorithm. It's horrible for marketing them, and it's not a great reader experience.
No.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the same thing with going, like, bouncing from non-exclusive to exclusive as well. And I know the other retailers will tell you the same. Always try and leave your books where they are, because you have to train the algorithm. And every time that you delist or remove a book, you're losing the temperature or any sort of heat that your title had.
And it's upsetting for readers. They're halfway through a series and then suddenly you're not available on the platform anymore. Like, it's not great.
Yeah, we actually get those requests all the time. People might not realize that, but we do dive into people asking for specific books and trying to figure out why they're gone. And yeah, it's not a great user experience when there's a reader that can't access them, unfortunately.
And especially when people can have them in their subscription library for a while and they get around to reading them, and then they start talking to their friends and then see listed. Wait, guys, come on. The word of mouth is only getting out there. Give it a chance.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so interesting that word of mouth is such a leading bookseller, even in 2021. It's fascinating.
I listened to Tim Ferriss. Is that how you put it? The 4-hour work week and stuff. And that was in an interview yesterday. And that he said, the best thing is always word of mouth. It'll never change.
Even within Kobo, I know that we get kind of insights into, like, actual sales figures and stuff, but I'd still probably just read a book that somebody has read and recommended.
Well, that's one thing publishers do. They start a buzz within the publishing houses of a big debut author coming out, or a title they really want to push, and they make the buzz internal, so everybody gets behind it. It's fun because everybody's talking about, have you read it, and this, and it's amazing. I think getting that audience is so exciting, and getting people excited about your book. So whatever you can do to talk it up, and wherever you can, is so important.
Absolutely. And we mentioned that people can read the book later. So if you have books in Kobo Plus and you've removed them, and then some reason you get a sales report later, that is why. We're always logging it. It's not necessarily meaning that your book was then just read. It's just that somebody has finally gotten around to doing it.
As long as they're a subscriber, though. If they're not a subscriber anymore, they lose the right to access their library. Yeah.
Mustafa says there's also many people with limited resources, and we need to reach them, if for nothing else, to spread the word. So in the long run is a win-win situation. So definitely, for sure, that is a great point. We just want to be able to allow authors to hit any sort of readers. And how we've been able to sort of tell that this is a new audience is that it's very interesting. I know that both of you have been doing that, Siobhan, when you talk to publishers and authors, and Joni, when you talk to authors, is that looking at, like, the top selling book from a period won't be the same as the book that's being the most read on Kobo Plus. And that's sort of fascinating to me.
No, totally. It's totally, it can be totally obscure book that you're like, how the hell did that end up there? But it's great to see that people are finding these other books, and it's a new audience. Like, you'll always have those popular bestsellers in there, but it's nice to see these other titles getting discovered.
Absolutely. So we touched on trends a little bit in terms of genre and things like that. I didn't ask you, Joni. Did you have anything to add to what Siobhan had said earlier about the genres?
No, Siobhan and I kind of looked them up together, and so yeah, I'm just going to repeat what she said. Lots of romance, lots of contemporary.
So one thing I will say, self-help. I didn't mention self-help.
You
During
didn't.
the pandemic, that was something, even in Kobo Plus, people were reading. People were, like, in a la carte, it grew as well. But even Kobo Plus was higher than I expected.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, of course, we want to test and see what's in that book, maybe not read the whole thing, but pick out what we want.
My apologies. There is somebody trimming the grass right by my window. So if you can hear that, I'm very sorry. But yeah, I think with self-help stuff as well, this past year, we've had so much time to be a bit more insular. So we're like seeing nonfiction and self-help things in particular kind of be popular reads. So loud.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So Soul's Journey has a question. How to get my book linked to my account. It was uploaded to Kobo via Smashwords, but it's not on their dashboard. Joni, can you maybe address that one?
So if it's uploaded via Smashwords, it essentially acts, Smashwords is the publisher, and so you would be Smashwords would be dealing with Kobo, and you would be dealing with Smashwords. We don't have any jurisdiction over titles that are uploaded through Smashwords.
Yeah. Contact Kevin over at Smashwords. He's great. He's amazing. If you need his email, I'll give it to Tara. It's my account. So I deal with them all the time, and they're a fantastic team if you're working with them.
Nice. So, and we're kind of winding down our hour here. So I wanted to ask you both, like, where do you see Kobo Plus or subscriptions going in general? Like while we were chatting here, I was like trying to count the amount of subscriptions that I have now during I just like canceled a bunch of them. So it's like, I have like Spotify and like the Kobo Plus one and Netflix and Disney Plus and Crave and another radio station that I used to pay for. So where do you think things are going? Because like in terms of reading or in terms of like just consumption of subscriptions, because they're adding more and more, especially when you're kind of, I don't know, Joni just told me about Paramount Plus last week and I didn't know it existed. And now I have that one as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's going anywhere. Like they've been around for a while and they're only growing, as you said. I have too many as well, but I don't know. I'm always going to say that I don't think print books are going anywhere, but I also don't think digital subscriptions are going anywhere. I think that both will continue to coexist and subscriptions will definitely be growing.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, look at us streaming everything to watch. I wonder if anyone watches normal TV channels anymore.
No, I don't even have them. My TV only is connected to the internet.
And music as well. Like I've been on Spotify for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm.
I do listen to the radio.
Do you? Okay.
Well, I'm an NPR listener, so I spend my time listening to that. But I will say, it's subscriptions. I think you will see more and more books in book subscription programs. I think subscriptions are going to be just as big as Netflix and streaming down the road. No, I don't think a la carte's going anywhere. There's two different consumers there, and the same for print. Not totally different. Some of them will cross over, as I said earlier. Say, I read print, I read digital. Only my eyesight's going, so I find it better with digital. But there are plenty of people who will always buy certain books in print and certain in digital, and the same with subscription.
Yeah, and it's a good time to be an early adopter because, like we said earlier, we're still kind of at the beginning, and I think that we're going to see more and more growth. And if you get your books in there now and you're part of that early adoption group, then it's a great place. It's a great time to jump in.
Yeah. One question that just came to me, I know that we have authors that come from KU and sort of talk about something around KU specifically is kind of writing to that market or writing to the market trend, whatever that genre is that's very popular. I don't think I've seen that with Kobo Plus so far. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
No, it doesn't look like it right now. I mean, nobody writing Deathly towards Kobo Plus, for that romance genre. I think the audience, the writers you already have in KWL are already in those genres, and they're going to do really well in Kobo Plus as well.
That's an interesting question, because we definitely do have writers that write to market and are very strategic about it, and that's great. But this has come up on the podcast a lot recently, is talking about sustainability in publishing and wanting to not just build a career for right now and right now's market, but to build a writing career that lasts for years and is your long-term job. So I think that a lot of authors that we talk to are more committed to that second, that creating books that they want to write, essentially. And both are equally valid, but I definitely think that we see more of that on Kobo, of people who have wanted to write forever and they're writing the books that they wanted to read.
Yeah, for sure. Be interesting to kind of keep an eye on that. Yeah, I think it would be it's difficult challenge writing to a market. I'm sure you enjoy writing what you want to write more, but I think people do. Like you said, we see both.
Yeah, all there.
Yep, all there. So subscriptions aren't going anywhere. This will be the future. We'll have a little bit of everything, balancing digital reading with physical books and audiobooks. I definitely do the same. Listening to so many audiobooks now, especially since I have a dog, just walking everywhere with the audiobooks.
The genre you listen to, like, is it like, I know for me, it's always, I listen to nonfiction and I
Me
read.
too. Yeah, I use it as a learning curve. Yeah, even though we had a long weekend and it was meant to be relaxing, I was listening to a lot of books on Indigenous history in Canada, just because I feel like I'm not as knowledgeable as a fresh Canadian that I should be. So stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's just because I listen to podcasts and it sort of leans into like a nonfiction audiobook instead.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's another subscription area that we're fighting for a lot of attention in a lot of different places.
I know it's interesting. Like I with a teen in the house, and he's always trying to game the system, which is always fun. He doesn't have much money, so he's always having fun doing things like that.
Siobhan, do your kids read digitally, or do they listen to audio?
So my daughter and I listen to audio. We just got back from our first trip in a year and a half. We drove to Maine, which is only 3 hours away, but I had to see the ocean, and we listened to The Land of Stories, which is a beautiful audiobook by Chris Colfer. So yeah, we do that, and she will sit in her room, and she studies French through audio. And in a lot of the schools here in the US, they have Epic. So the Epic is for the school, they have availability, access to ebooks in that program. So she did a lot of research through that this year and things like that. I don't know if my teen reads anymore half the time. He probably doesn't. He listens or he does stuff on YouTube to find out all this information. But she doesn't mix about like a mix. Like there's an awful lot of physical books in her room, because her dad will sit and read for her 2 hours, and then digital she will do more for school and then for learning and fun in the car. So it's all over the place, I think.
Yeah, it is interesting. And apologies because the hedge trimmer is back. But do your kids kind of gravitate towards like shorter content? Because that seems to be a really kind of relevant section right now, and maybe lends itself to like mobile reading more so.
Yeah, the teen definitely does. It's more of a like, how much information can I get as quick as possible? Like, and to be smarter than anyone else, So that's kind of, my daughter, no, it's full length. She's at that fun stage of, that middle grade books, full chat, books. Judy Bloom is all,
Judy Bloom.
She's reading and I got to meet her years ago, which was fun.
Oh, I
know. Nice person too. So yeah, she eats up those books, and she doesn't care if they're digital or physical. She got a lot. It was her birthday recently. She got a lot of box sets from friends, which I always think is funny because I work in books.
Yeah.
Siobhan, who haven't you met that you want to meet as an author? Because you have been in publishing and having previously lived in New York, which I feel like is just like one of the publishing centers of the world. Who's on your list that you haven't met?
Oh my God, I didn't even think of this one. Great question. It probably start, I can't even tell you. As I had a Scottish Italian author that I wanted to meet for years, and I actually eventually met him. And I was a little disappointed when I did, so I won't name his name. But there are so many. I can't even tell you. To be honest, I would like to go back to the day and meet Agatha Christie. Isn't that weird? I know she's a pulp writer, but there was something about the time when she wrote. I would love to meet Conan Doyle. Go back there. As you can see, I'm leaning towards the mysteries here. Oh my God, why can't I think of one live that I want to meet right now?
No, that's okay. That's good.
There's so many. I have been so lucky to meet so many great authors. Christopher Hitchison was just such a character to meet. Jonathan Hart. I've been so lucky. I can't even tell you. Everybody has a story. Every author, no matter how famous they get, they all have a story to tell, and we all have one in us. Some of us are better at putting it down than others, and that's what makes a great author. Is that's a history and experience we bring.
Yeah.
You got me today. You got me.
Siobhan is not short of words often, so I'm taking this as a win. This is good.
Because the list would go on and on if I started nailing them on the head, And I'm lucky enough to meet a lot of my huge ones I did want to meet.
Nice. So talking about authors, do you have any kind of word of wisdom, word of advice for authors in general, if they're publishing independently, Siobhan?
Oh, I think the author community that is out there is amazing, and they're sometimes much better than publishers in promoting their own titles. I think actually they probably are much better. And learning from your community is extremely important. Having a great cover, and get a good editor. Don't forget it. You've written your book, doesn't mean it's. And it doesn't matter how good of a writer you are, you always need to be edited. I apologize, but every author gets edited, and there is no shame in it. It's great, and listen to your audience and talk to them all the time.
Nice.
They know,
I find it really kind of inspiring to work with authors so often, and especially for people that kind of just follow their dream to work on this creative field. So like, for instance, with the Kobo Emerging Writers Prize that we have each year, the winner for literary fiction this year is Michelle Good for her book, 5 Little Indians. And she is a debut author at age 65. So I just think it's just so great that I'm just like, maybe I can still do that eventually.
I know this is that little bit of fear of putting the pen to paper and actually doing it. I know you've actually sat there and got, what was it,
NaNoWriMo, yeah. I wouldn't consider it really trying as much as like just slamming the keyboard for a while,
But you sat there and you did, and that's just incredibly important, just even trying it.
That's true. That's true. Joni, do you have any final word of advice for authors?
So Siobhan said a lot of great things, which I will second. I will also say that one of the cool things about publishing independently and specifically digital is that there is no limit to where you can sell your books. So you are reaching people in places where you've never been and you might never go, but your books might go there. So just remember that wherever you live, isn't the only place that you're looking for readers. You can find them everywhere. So just keep them in mind when you're setting your prices or when you're running ads. Remember that they're not all in your home country.
Absolutely. So can you guys hear this? It is so loud. Okay, I'll wrap up soon. But what I also wanted to add is that just keep being innovative as an indie and be an early adopter. Okay.
Make your titles available everywhere. I think it's so important, and in every program, it's people. That's how you're going to get found.
have fun with it, experiment. There's a lot of cool opportunities in the indie world, and yeah, Tara, that's
I don't know why they keep coming back and forth like several times, but yes, I just wanted to say yes. Somebody, the hedge trimmer should have been added as a panelist. Absolutely. But yes, be an early adopter. So when you do see new features like Kobo Plus, don't be afraid of it. Jump on. Indies are so much quicker to adopt and change digitally than a lot of other books. And it makes a lot of other kind of authors and publishers. And it definitely makes you see an audience that these other people might not be taking advantage of quite yet.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I will leave it there or well, I'll ask one final question. Joni, what are you reading right now?
oh god, what's it called? I don't want to come back. Oh no, I do remember. Scenes of a Graphic Nature by Caroline O'Donoghue. She's from Cork. You probably know her.
I don't. It's a myth that we all know each other. But I think you did make me check, and I don't know her.
She has a podcast that I enjoyed, and then she's a writer, so now I'm working my way through her books.
Nice. And Siobhan, what are you reading?
I just finished The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. And I actually would have said her, but I actually did meet her. So I love Emma Donoghue. This is a book she started just before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit. It is about the Spanish flu in Ireland. And it's based in a maternity ward in a Dublin hospital. But it gathers in the whole history of Ireland in many different aspects, and the whole birthing of children as well, because of the maternity ward. So there's so much. It's a short book, but it gathers so much. I just love it.
It's not a short book, is it? I think it's quite a long book.
Didn't seem that long.
I need to read it. Everyone keeps saying it's fantastic.
I ate it up in 2 days, and at the moment that's unusual for me. So like it's taken me it's unusual. It's taken me a week to read a book right now. The one I just started, and that's why is just about to finish is just finished was Malibu Rising. It's one of the big indie book picks for the summer this year. So it was good. And the one I just started, I have to look at was about Agatha Christie and the search for Agatha Christie. And that's why Agatha Christie came to my mind earlier, because she disappeared for a period in her life, if you didn't know that. They had to go and find her. And this book is about the time she disappeared. Let me see what the name of it was.
That sounds really great.
Yeah, The Mystery of Mrs. Christie. And it's very interesting indeed to find what happened to her. But she really did disappear. This is just a fictional version. But she did disappear.
Nice. Well, thank you for those great recommendations, and thanks to everyone for staying with us even through hedge trimming, and for all the great questions. And we hope to see all of your books in Kobo Plus.
Yeah.
And definitely, if you have any questions, you can email the team at writinglife@kobo.com. This is the last of our weekly. We're going back to probably monthly guests. But yeah, I won't have to bother my colleagues anymore for their time. Yeah, well, thanks so much, Siobhan, and thanks, Joni, for joining as well. This has been really wonderful and informative.
This was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.